The big problem today, the World Bank estimates that while more than 2/3 of adult population have got access to banking and mobile money accounts, there's 1.7 billion of adults that actually are unbanked, don't have access to banking, which means you don't have access to banking. It means you can't get your financial assistance. If you're a small business, you can't get access to potentially borrowing and transact. So it's critical. When you think about it, blockchain could be quite dramatically important for financial inclusion, because outside of the formal financial sector, what is happening with blockchain is the ability to create new types of digital financial products, like decentralized bank accounts, for example. And then even within the existing financial sector, what we can see is you can integrate low-income financially excluded populations by creating alternative indicators of behaviour that can be used to assess the risk to the consumers. And then internationally, blockchain is attractive in that it can actually use, for example, to facilitate remittances to migrants. We're seeing that as one of the business models, right, using distributed ledger to transfer small amounts of money overseas. So they're already seeing business models develop that actually help bring greater financial inclusion through actually allowing transfers, allowing people who don't have bank accounts unbanked. At the end of the day, the technology itself is fundamentally democratized. It's distributed and it's shared. Nothing else could be more democratic, right? So if you think about 3 points, right? First of all, blockchain provides users with full transparency because the data and any changes to the data are visible by all parties that are allowed access. So the transparency is amazing. Secondly, in terms of democracy or confidence, trust, the blocks of data are verified by members of the network, and the links between the blocks and their content are protected by cryptography. Anyway, you'll get that. Which means, again, it underpins trust, which is very important if you're in a democracy, right? And then thirdly, again, back to that trust, previous transactions can't be destroyed, forged, amended, which means there is potential for the ledger and transaction to be trusted more than centralized databases. Blockchain will disrupt many businesses, including financial services, by disintermediating parties in the value chain. And what we're seeing initially is in clearing and settlement, in payment services, and in financing, 3 subsectors, okay? And the reason, as I said, is that blockchain offers increased speed, reduced cost, and brings in potentially new players. It eliminates some, but brings in new, creates new opportunities. So there's probably 3 examples of this. In transaction processes, blockchain, again, cuts out middleman, transactions safer, faster, easily more traceable, very important. On fraud detection, blockchain, because it's transparent and because it can't be tampered with, then fraudulent payments are unlikely to really occur, because you can see the flow. And then thirdly, through smart contracts, they're automated, easily verified, interpreted, and enforced. So essentially, smart contracts reduce paperwork from a lawyer's perspective, enable organisations to handle and respond quickly, automatically to transactions. And it's probably likely we're going to see large private networks with assets that are backed by real-world assets that are essentially tokenized. We see that the revolution is going to happen in tokenization of assets. And so most of those networks, almost all of them, are going to be permission networks. They're not going to be open networks like Bitcoin. But it's going to bring a huge quantum leap in efficiency and transparency in banking, and will probably pave the way for even more disruptive innovation like central bank digital currencies, which are, have been being examined for over a decade. So I think one particular development is China, where I think what we're now seeing in the area of fintech is we're seeing really holistic solutions which actually combine artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things and blockchain to find solutions for a new generation of financial products. So we're seeing things like in China, automated livestock insurance, which really brings it all together. And I think we're going to see more and more of this occurring, so people connecting the dots between the real emerging technologies. We're going to continue to monitor the innovations and provide the best advice we can to policymakers, and most importantly to our partners in the private sector, to make sure that they get it right and they're not frustrated.